Hobby Quick Hits. Delivering that breaking hobby news directly to your earlobes. You want to know those hot drops from the card shop? We've got you covered. With your host, John Newman.
Welcome to episode 105 of Hobby Quick Hits. Today's episode, we are going to talk about the young superstars of baseball and kind of compare notes. And when we think about baseball, you know, when we think of the four major sports, numbers to baseball, stats to baseball probably mean the most, right? When you think of certain numbers, you don't even have to say the player, just certain numbers, right? 714, Babe Ruth home run, 755, Barry Bonds, 401, Ted Williams batting average, 56, the game's hitting streak from Joe DiMaggio, and all these records that, just numbers mean so much to baseball. But also in baseball, each era sort of, compares their young superstars. During the 50s, it was who was better, right? Mantle, Mays, Duke Schneider. In every decade or era since, same thing. And even today now, that debate rages on. You got your Tatis Juniors, Acuna, Soto, Guerrero, Ohtani, and so on and so on. And, you ask different people and they'll pick a different one and the reasons why. And so I thought it was time to kind of do a show where we cover this generation right now, young superstars, and who is the best maybe to buy and hold cards of, and just in general. And so that's what today's show is going to cover, today's young baseball superstars. And it's nice that we can have this discussion because they're, as recently as a few weeks back, right, we still had the lockout and it wasn't looking good. And so sort of to celebrate a full season of baseball, I decided to tackle today's subject. But before we get to that subject, let's hear from our great sponsor, Mojo Breaks. And after that, we'll get the show started with new releases, Q&A, this week's hobby news, and then the topic at hand.
MojoBreakShop.com is the best place to get your sealed wax products and brakes. They not only have the best selection, but the best prices. Whether it's a box or a whole case, they are your guys. They ship worldwide to your doorstep. Their reputation as one of the most trusted in the hobby goes unmatched. They are the 2021 Topps Rip Party Champion Breakers. From sports cards to Pokemon cards, their selection can't be beat. They offer daily deals and pre-orders.
Time for this week's incoming product releases. All right, let's talk about some things that are going to hit the market this week that you can rip and open, starting on the 30th with Topps Inception Baseball. I'm a big Inception guy. I like it. I know some people don't, but like those thick cards, the colors they use, and the on-card autos when they do those. Also on the 30th, 2021, Upper Deck Premier Hockey. On the 1st, another thing I'm a sucker for, acetate cards, and then you'll be happy with the 1st because Panini Clearly Donruss Football 2021 released the 1st of the month. Love some Clearly Donruss. On the 6th, a few more products. The debut of Prism WWE, now that Panini has the license now, so they'll make their foray into the WWE releases with their Prism, and like me and Jeff said on Sports Card Nation, right, anything Prism. They could do Nanny's Prism, and it would be a big hit. So WWE gets Prism. Same day, they also release Prism Collegiate Basketball 2021 2021, 2022, and also 2021 Stars and Stripes Baseball. So there you go for the week of what's coming out. Choose your weapon and enjoy.
Answer my question! The question!
I'll answer the question. You want answers?
All right, this week's question comes via email from Jake, and it reads as follows. John, liked your show on quarterback assessments last week. Wondering, I know you've said on your show in the past about not, collecting running backs is not an advisement or great things to do. They usually have a short career, and many, don't pan out. But is there a running back you would suggest currently playing that may buck that trend? Running backs are always will be a risky proposition. We have Derrick Henry really putting together a Hall of Fame career. Dalvin Cook looked like that guy early on, but the injuries have sort of derailed what could have been a great career. The guy I really like and sort of have not taken my own advice on, if you will, where I've been buying some of his stuff up because, quite frankly, it's still affordable, and to me, a great ceiling involved with his cards, and that's JT, Jonathan Taylor from the Colts. He does everything, catches the ball, runs the ball, a big part of that offense, and he's durable. Doesn't miss, don't want to jinx him here, but doesn't get hurt, doesn't miss time. And I could see, potentially 10-year, maybe more, career toting that ball. And, that if he does that and there's not a significant drop-off, i.e., like I said, Dalvin Cook, he's going to be a potential Hall of Famer. And I think that's the gauge, right, for a running back if they put together a Hall of Fame career. And I know he's young and he's got to do it for some more years before we can put him in the Hall of Fame, but I think he's on that trajectory. So if I'm going to pick a guy, I'll mention him because, quite frankly, he's a guy I've been buying some of his stuff up, and that's Jonathan Taylor. Jake, thank you for the question. Appreciate it. Always fun to answer questions. And speaking of the Q&A, if you have any kind of questions that you want to hear maybe talked about on the air, you can send them to our social medias, DM us, or you can email us at hobbyquickhits@gmail.com or sportscardnationpc@gmail.com. Either or, and you may hear your question on the air and answered on the air. And we appreciate the questions and the feedback we've been getting, especially of late. So thank you. It's time for the Hobby What's Up, where we go around the hobby world and tell you all the latest news and breaking stories from the hobby we love.
What's up?
What's up?
What's up? What's up?
All right, some of you may have seen that 1952 Jackie Robinson miscut card, which has a sliver of the Mickey Mantle attached to it on the front side. It's an SGC 1. It had previously sold last summer at Golden's auctions for $29,000. Well, Buzz created some hype, and it just sold now for basically almost three times that, $72,450 for an SGC 1 Jackie Robinson. Now, obviously, a regular SGC 1 1952 Topps Jackie Robinson is not going to bring $72,000, but I guess when it has a sliver of the famed 52 Mantle, it will bring more. And pretty interesting there. No, I did not buy it. Wasn't me. CSG trying to make moves. They've listened to collectors and dealers, and they're changing their label. Looks a little cleaner based on pictures. I haven't seen it in person, and they're changing their grading system. So Gem Mint will now be have to be graded a 10, not a 9.5. But check them out if you want to see what I'm referring to. Bryce Harper has signed a exclusive autograph and memorabilia contract with Fanatics. He already had a Topps deal, so this kind of just I don't want to say converts over. This is an additional deal, multi-year, and they're going to be the sole distributor for Bryce Harper game-used memorabilia and autographs. TCGP, short for Trading Card Game Player. They specialize in like Magic the Gathering, Yu-Gi-Oh!, Pokemon. They're a selling platform. They actually have a location here in Syracuse, a warehouse and facility. They've announced they're adding sports cards shortly to the platform. They cited the rise and boom and popularity of sports cards, that they want to add that to their platform. In comparison, I'm not an expert about them, but because they're local and I know a little bit about them, they're sort of like the ComC of, gaming cards, if you will. But now they are adding sports cards, so we'll see how that foray, that entry, turns out, and if they can compete on the level of the ComCs and those kind of selling platforms. But they're throwing their hat in the ring for sure. All right, a little shameless plug. If you're listening to this before April 3rd, I will be set up at the Collectors Fest in Syracuse, New York, at the New York State Fairgrounds. 3 tables. I got some new showcases and got some new inventory that I just added, and love to, as always, people come by. I love chatting with you, shaking your hand, and talking sports, talking the hobby, talking the life, and this show has really been back on the map this year after the restrictions were lowered, and the promoter, Lynn Lake, good guy's been getting autograph guests again, something he used to do. Then he stopped and going that route again. And Eric Dievendorf, former Syracuse Orange basketball player, will be signing free autographs from, I believe, 11 to 1. So come on out if you're in the area, Central New York, Western New York, New York area in general, Syracuse. April 3rd, I think the doors open at 9 to 3, and come meet yours truly. I enjoy meeting new people all the time, so hopefully we'll see you at the show.
And now, our feature presentation.
All right. Now, we can make the argument that Mike Trout still holds the belt as the face of baseball, and that might be true. But Mike Trout's also 30 years old. So I wanted to talk about that next generation of young superstars, right? The young guns of baseball, if you will. The debate that everyone likes to have in the hobby of who's the best young player, who should I buy cards of and put away. And, 4 or 5 names always kind of right now enter that arena, enter that debate. So I wanted to kind of give my take on these guys and even add a couple names to the mix. Let's start with what will probably be my choice if I had to only pick one guy, and that's Juan Soto. Now, I think he has the highest ceiling of the group. He finished second in Rookie of the Year, made the All-Star game last year, 2 Silver Slugger awards, and finished second in the MVP race last year. He's a contact hitter. He doesn't strike out a lot. especially with some of the power numbers he has flashed. 22 home runs his rookie year, followed up by 34 in his second season with 110 RBIs. Last year, hit 29 dingers with 95 ribbies. Like I said, finished second in the MVP race. Not that he's not fast. He is fast, but not a huge base stealer. Last 4 years, 5, 12, 6, and 9. But I think a lot of that is with how the Nationals handle him. I think they're trying to keep him healthy, and so they don't have him maybe run as much as he could. The thing I love about him is his gap power, and he's a hitter. 313 last year, 351 in the pandemic-shortened season the year prior to that. But this guy's going to bat over 300, probably be a 30 home run guy, and has the potential. I don't know how often he'll do it, but has the potential to crack double digits in stolen bases. I'd like to see a little bit more there, but I think, again, the Nationals sort of, kind of hold them back a little bit in that category. So Juan Soto's my choice. I think he's just one of the best all-around players, doesn't really miss time, and just seems to really enjoy kind of playing out there. Reminds me a little bit of Griffey in that category. We're just having some fun out there, and, easy to like a guy like that. All right, let's talk about the guy that they kind of lump together with Soto, right? Always compared to him. Maybe that's because they play in the same division. Maybe that's because their teams have each won a respective World Series, so they each have a ring. Maybe it's because they compete against each other double-digit times a year, being in the same division, and that's Ronald Acuna Jr. Now, Acuna is more of the power hitter and a little bit less of the average, but he's going to run a little bit more. So Acuna is going to be that potential 40 home run guy. Hit 41 in 2019 with 101 ribbies. That was his sort of, I'm here moment type of year. He did win the Rookie of the Year in 2018 and has made 2 All-Star Game appearances. He also has 2 Silver Slugger awards. What kind of sets him a little bit apart to me from Soto is the power numbers and the steals, right? In the 4 years, he has 16, 37, 8 in that pandemic shortened year, and then last year swiped 17 bags. So they have him run. But with that comes the risk for injury, and that's why I think many people put Soto ahead of him. Acuna has better numbers when he plays, but that's the issue. He's had some injuries here and there. I wouldn't call him injury prone, but he really hasn't put together a full year since 2019. 156 games in 2019, and then last year 82 as he suffered the injury. And the style of play, which is a little bit reckless, is what scares a little people. This is a guy that will dive, crash into a wall, run rampant on the bases, and that's where the injury proneness, if you will, is a factor. And that has scared a few people in the hobby away. I still like the guy. He's putting together early on a Hall of Fame resume as he still, again, all these players are very young. So he's already got over 100 home runs, and batting average, he's going to strike out some. He's more of a strikeout kind of all or nothing guy when where Soto's more of a put the ball in play gap type hitter. Acuna's gonna hit those monumental blasts, but he's also going to go down swinging some. Not terrible. I've seen worse. Batting average, in the 4 years, 293, 280, 250 and 283. So he's not that far off from 300. But I think Soto's more of a higher average power. Acuna's going to hit more, and this is on a full season type of ratio. Acuna's going to hit more home runs, strike out more, steal more bases, and have a little bit less batting average. Both, you have either one of these players on your team or in your collection, you're doing pretty good. All right, let's go down to a guy that, quite frankly, if he could stay healthy, would probably be the number one choice, not only to me, but probably to a lot of hobbyists and collectors. But what we're starting to see with this young superstar is he just can't seem to put a full, 150, 160 game season together. And that's Fernando Tatis Jr. And again, I think he might be the best on this list if he could stay on the field. So let's talk about some of his accolades. He also has 2 Silver Slugger awards, an All-Star appearance last year, finished 3rd in the MVP voting, finished 4th the year before. In 2019, 84 games. 2020, 59 games, not his fault. That was obviously pandemic. And then 2021, 130 games. Again, with an injury. And 2022 actually was hurt in the offseason, and he will be out for the first 3 months of the 2022 season. And you know how this hobby is, right? Anytime someone gets hurt, people overreact and have a sell-off. But, Tatis has been hurt on 2 or 3 occasions. And so that sell-off can be more, and that's probably scared some people away. If you ask me, I think it's too early to bail. When I think about guys that seem to have kind of consistent injuries early in their career, the guy I maybe would compare him to, at least currently, is Zion Williamson. Different sport, but sort of showing like, hey, he's going to miss time each year, not put a full season together. But I'd be more worried about Zion than I am of Fernando Tatis Jr. for obvious reasons. Zion's got more weight on his frame. But let's not talk about Zion. We're talking about baseball here. So I'm a Tatis Jr. guy. If someone bails on him because of injury and has a fire sale on his stuff, I'm usually a buyer. Last year, and think about these numbers in only 130 games. He missed 32 games, and he still hit 42 home runs, 97 RBIs. A little low for a 42 home run hitter. A lot of solo shots in there. But 25 steals in 130 games. So he's a 2020 guy. Last year, batted .282, 277 the year before, and 317 in his rookie campaign. 22 home runs in that rookie campaign, and then 17 in the COVID-shortened 2020 season. And again, he will steal 16 stolen bases, followed by 11, and then 25 last year. And so this is a guy's going to bat about 290. If he can put a full season together, honestly, he could potentially hit 50 home runs, bat 290 with 110 RBIs and about 20 steals. 2020 guy. But again, got to do that. Got to put in a full season. And I think this year's injury really put a damper on things to collectors and hobbyists because didn't even happen on the field. It wasn't him diving to make a play or running the bases or anything like that. It was in the off season, and it just continues his trend of not playing a full season of baseball, and it has scared some folks off when it comes to his cards. My answer to that is he's still very, very young. He's only in his, really his 3rd year of his career as far as a full season goes. Granted, he's going to miss the first 3 months, but the jury, too early to me to bail on this young superstar with that much potential. This is a guy that, if he plays a whole year, could hit 50 home runs and swipe 20 bags. And that's a monster season that could happen at any time. And if he can avoid the injury bug, he can put some of these seasons back to back. And we're talking about maybe a future Hall of Famer if that was to occur. And so I'm not getting off the Tatis bus just yet. Maybe it's just run into hopefully some bad luck that won't continue. All right, next guy I'm going to talk about. Some would make an argument because he's 27, which is a few years older than the previous mentioned guys, that he has some prior experience playing in Japan, that he shouldn't be on this list, that he sort of doesn't fit the requirements. And I, to that, say hogwash. He's 27, which is still young in baseball. And he did play in Japan, and obviously not his fault. That's his home country. I don't think we penalize him for that. And he's a young 27, considering he played in the Japanese league. And he's come here. And when was the last time you saw a dual-way player, someone that hits and pitches, can play, be in the lineup when he's not on the mound, and be an ace-type pitcher? And last year, he arguably put together one of the best seasons in the history of Major League Baseball in winning his first MVP award. And to me, it was a no-brainer. He's also got a Silver Slugger to his name. And let's talk about last year being an incredible year. Just on the hitting side of things, 46 dingers, 100 ribbies, 26 steals. How many people who pitch, swipe 26 bags? Yet he did that. He batted .257, struck out 189 times, had a rough go the previous year, but again, he was hurt with the labrum injury, so we'll throw that sort of year out. And the previous 2 years prior to last year's, or 2 years ago, bad season with injury, the 2 years prior to that, the Angels were really unsure of how to use him. And I think they've sort of figured out a game plan to how to, get this guy in the lineup as a pitcher and a hitter. And let's talk about last year's MVP season on the mound. Went 9-2 with a 3.18 ERA with 23 starts, and struck out 1.4 guys an inning. So 130 innings pitched, 156 strikeouts, and, just kind of dominated on the mound. Didn't, probably could have got more starts, but they also didn't want to risk injury and taking the bat out of the lineup as well. So this guy is transcendent in the sense that we just haven't seen the likes of him since, probably Babe Ruth. And we can argue that last year's Ohtani year was better than any, really one Ruth year when you add in the pitching prowess. Now, I know Babe Ruth, had that, 714 home runs, including that huge year, which was the record setter until it was eventually broken. But, Shohei, 27 years old. I think the Angels have figured out how to use him, keep him healthy and productive. And this guy, if he can play and stay on the field, he's going to I don't even want to say quietly, but he's going to put together a Hall of Fame type career that may sort of sneak up on people. But I think he announced his presence last year with a performance MVP worthy on both sides, as a hitter and as a pitcher. So those are usually the guys, folks, that are the first ones to come up in this debate of the baseball's best young superstar. Before we close out the topic, I wanted to talk about a few more, if you want to call them honorable mentions, some more young folks that are in this mix. Vlad Guerrero had a tremendous year. Could have won the MVP himself. Matter of fact, most people thought it should be either him or Ohtani. Ohtani won it. But he's definitely, if he can, I think the big thing with him is staying in shape, staying healthy, and he'll be, viable long term. The other guy, another guy plays on his own team who I really like, and I think sort of overlooked or doesn't get enough credit, and that's Bo Bichette. Another young player that's kind of, sort of five-tool, and I think he gets a little bit, I think sort of them being on the same team, sort of like they take attention away from each other rather than one being like the main focus. But both tremendous players. Everyone knows the Bobby Witt Jr. hype, but many scouts say it's legitimate. He may break camp with the big. He's expected to break camp and make his major league debut on opening day, and all the scouts say he's the real deal. And the walk's going to match the talk with him. And so again, he hasn't done it yet, but all the scouts who generally know what they're doing love him, and so that's why you see the hobby hype with him. And then another guy that I personally really, really, really like is Ryan Mountcastle from the Baltimore Orioles. Now, the fact that he plays in Baltimore, they don't get a lot of baseball coverage, if you will, because they usually struggle in the standings. They play in the same division with the Yankees, Blue Jays, and Red Sox. But look at the year Ryan Mountcastle had last year. He announced his presence, and just seems to be a really down-to-earth, quiet type guy, not a big, talker. And but I like him. His cards are still, very affordable. For the career I think he's going to have. Now's the time. If you're going to get in and collect them, now's a great opportunity to start, loading up on his stuff or stockpiling his stuff. But he's a young player that I think we're going to be talking about, especially being an infielder. There's always infielders that are sort of five-tool, always have a little more, clout than certain other positions. So he's a guy I would look at, and he's a guy, like, barring, God forbid, an injury, he's going to have one of those, long all-star filled Hall of Fame careers when it's all said and done. It might kind of sneak up on you, especially if he plays most of that career, if not all of it, in Baltimore, unless they kind of turn things around, which, they got a great farm system. So, what we're talking about Baltimore is now, they eventually might be able to turn that around with some more good drafts and just right personnel moves. So, a few guys that maybe not in the conversation just yet, but might not be long before they are. And, it bodes well, folks, for baseball, this youth movement. Baseball, I think, needs to market itself better. I think they really should start with some of the guys we mentioned today, sort of, hyping them up or focusing on them and to help the image. Thankfully, they avoided a work stoppage that would have been damaging not only to the sport itself, but we all know in the hobby what a work stoppage would have did to the baseball side of the hobby. But thankfully, we don't have to worry about that. They are avoided that, and they're getting ready to start the season here. So we'll call it a topic right there. But a lot of great young options to collect, to buy. No shortage. That's for sure. And there's more coming. There's more, in the minors and on their way up trajectory wise. So Baseball is going to be fine for the unforeseen future. All right, going to do something I rarely do, and that's add in some audio post-editing. And in doing the post-editing, I realized I left someone off this group that shouldn't have been. And it was worthy enough to do what I'm doing now and add this audio in after the fact. One of my favorite young players, and how I missed him, I don't know. I'll blame it on old age, I guess. But Kyle Tucker of the Houston Astros, great young ball player, had a couple iffy years early where a lot of people who were prospecting started to doubt him, seemed to struggle to find his swing. His contact ratio was not great. And then he burst onto the scene last year and made his presence known, and I think he's here to stay. Last year, 30 home runs, 90 ribbies, 297 average, 14 steals. I think this guy has a shot to be a 30-30 guy. I think he's going to be a 30 home run guy each year, and I think he has the potential. And I'm not saying it's going to happen for sure. I think he has the potential, depending on how the Astros handle him. He's got the speed to swipe to 30 bags and be a 30-30 type guy. Carlos Correa has moved on to the Twins, and this guy's going to be asked to do more production-wise. And he finished 20th in the MVP race last year. I think this guy's the real deal. I have a lot of his stuff. I was not one of the guys that bailed with a couple of those quiet years. And so I think he's the real deal, and enough to add this part of the show in sort of post-editing because I didn't want to leave him out. And so there you go, Kyle Tucker. All right, thanks for joining us on another episode of Hobby Quick Hits. Hope you found it enjoyable. Hope it created some thought in your own mind. And whoever your pick is for this generation's current best young player, and you can go more ways than one, as we talked about on the episode. Whoever it is, that's the fact that we have so many choices is a good thing. It bodes well for the sport. Now, I could make a case that baseball could market its young superstars a whole lot better. I definitely think they fall short. I also think the sport has the worst commissioner of the four major sports at the helm, but that's a topic for another day. But a lot of great young superstars, and that bodes well for the long-term success of the sport. So whoever is your guy, that's a fun thing, and going to be fun watching these guys put their careers together and see where it goes. All right. With that being said, we're going to call it a show. Thank you, as always, for listening to Hobby Quick Hits. Remember, a new episode of Sports Carnation Friday, and we'll be back here with this show on Monday. So we'll see you soon. Be well. Take care. Bye-bye.